As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
President Donald Trump's controversial policies have been hitting the LGBTQ community very, very hard. In fact, on Thursday, Secretary of State Marco Rubio reportedly issued a directive ordering his staff to halt all passport applications with the X sex marker. Americans who don't identify as either male or female use this marker on federal documents for the past 3 years. However, with the Trump administration now only recognizing male and female genders, it seems like the existence of the gender-neutral sex marker has come to an end. Here's more from Foggy Bottom.
Hi, Donald John Trump.
U.S. President Donald Trump's return to the White House is nothing short of a nightmare for the transgender community. Day by day, his administration is rolling out measures to crack down on the rights of transgenders and snatch away their identity. On Thursday, Trump's Secretary of State Marco Rubio reportedly ordered his staff to halt all passport applications in the U.S. which have X written where they're supposed to mention their sex. The marker signals that the person does not identify as either male or female. Now, any applicant seeking to change their sex marker will not be entertained as well. But that's not all. Rubio also directed his staff to use sex instead of gender on federal documents, including passports, visas, global entry cards, and consular report of birth abroad documents. Rubio's order concluded that an individual's sex is not changeable, forcing trans people to use the marker they were assigned at birth. The directive changing millions of lives comes after the inauguration of the new president, where he said the U.S. government will officially recognize only two genders, that is, male and female.
This week, I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based.
Trump also signed an executive order on the first day of his presidency narrowing down gender identity and imposing biological classification on people who do not want to be perceived like that anymore. Meanwhile, it is unclear that what will happen to the current passports which already have an X marker. But what's clear is that Trump's executive order is dismantling former President Joe Biden's efforts to be more inclusive of America's gender identification. The State Department began issuing the X marker on passports in 2022 after a long legal battle by Dana Zim, a non-binary and intersex U.S. Navy veteran, who sued the government over the gender-neutral marker issue back in 2015.
On Transgender Day of Visibility today, the United States affirms that transgender rights are human rights. We celebrate the achievements and resilience of transgender, non-binary, gender-conforming persons around the world. We recognize their bravery and their hard-fought work for equality, inclusion, and the full recognition of their human rights. We celebrate the diverse expressions of gender and full diversity of gender identities around the world. We also want to highlight, as the Secretary announced in a statement earlier today, the historic milestone the Department has reached in its work to better serve all U.S. citizens regardless of their gender identity. Starting on April 11th, U.S. citizens will be able to select an X as their gender marker on their U.S. passport application, and the option will become available for other forms of documentation next year.
Till now, Americans were not required to match their marker with their gender on citizenship documents, photo IDs, or medical documentation. However, with Trump coming to power again, Biden's fast-moving progressive gender policies have been put into reverse gear.
You see, Donald Trump is a leader. He's a man who says something and carries it out to the letter. These LGBTQ people started causing a nuisance in the United States. A lot of people have been complaining about how they go about recruiting their mentality and forcing their ideology into the minds of even little kids. You see, nobody is telling you not to have a right over your life or your body or whatever you want to do with it. It is your right. But inculcating it or forcing it on us is the problem. On people who don't want it is the problem. Okay, you want to be identified as a woman after being born as a man, and you want me to take it by force. No, I have the right to also say, no, I don't want this or I don't accept this. But you forcing it down my throat is what I don't like, or is what Americans don't like. And they have been shouting on top of their voices that this is not healthy, this is not safe, especially for our younger generation, especially for our children. Okay, when they grow up, they can choose to, do whatever they want with their life. But at that tender age, how can you be putting color rainbows on my child's paper or my child's notebook? How can a teacher be telling my child that you can become a man when you are a woman? No, that is wrong at that age. We all know that at that age, whatever you do is influential. They look up to you, they do everything you do. So Trump has been saying this and been shouting on top of his voice that this is wrong. And on his first day, that he's going to stop it. And then he's doing it. You can hate him, you can like him, he may not be a true fan of Trump, but the fact still remains that he's a man who says something and carries it out. Irrespective of what you have to say, irrespective of how difficult you think it is, he goes about doing whatever he says he's going to do. Let's take the Russia and the Ukraine war for instance. He has come up to tell Putin that you have to stop this ridiculous war immediately. And for the first time, you hear Putin saying he's open to negotiation. That is the kind of man that's supposed to rule America. That's the kind of man that's supposed to be a world leader. He's not using your power to oppress some people. No, he's using it for the betterment of everybody, in my own opinion. Because the lives of our children are at stake here. And the way the LGBTQ community are going about it is wrong. It's not the right way, if you're going to tell yourself the truth. Because I don't see the reason why you should be telling a child as young as 2 years, as young as 5 years, that you can be identified as a woman when you are a man. It's ridiculous. It's unbelievable. It's sad. And if you keep quiet, you will see that before you know it, there will be problem coupled with the problems we are having already in the country. So, as for me, I go with Trump. And I'll go with him anytime, any day on this. Yes, you have your rights, but your rights shouldn't oppress my rights.
Entities around the world.
Thank you for
We also want to highlight, as the Secretary announced in a statement earlier today, the historic milestone the Department has reached in its work to better serve all U.S. citizens, regardless of their gender identity. Starting on April 11th, U.S. citizens will be able to select an X as their gender marker on their U.S. passport application, and the option will become available for other forms of documentation next year.
Till now, Americans were not required to match their marker with their gender on citizenship documents, photo IDs, or medical documentation. However, with Trump coming to power again, Biden's fast-moving progressive gender policies have been put into reverse gear.